Pablo Picasso is a Spanish artist born on October 25th, 1881. He is known as one of the greatest and most influential artists of the 20th century and the founder of Cubism. Picasso was also one of many artists who lived during the time of World War II. Some of his artworks show that he was influenced by the darkest time of human history. Paintings and sketches that depict the image of war and contain his anti-war spirit. Picasso spent most of his life creating art, contributing and devoting himself to the development of modern art in the 20th century. And this is one of his paintings, Weeping Woman with Handkerchief. It was painted in 1937 with oil on canvas. This painting is one of Picasso's paintings that shows the style of Cubism. Cubism is one of the most famous and influential art styles created by Pablo Picasso and George Braque in the 20th century. It was a revolutionary and new way to represent reality. Cubism focused on bringing different views of subjects together in the same picture, resulting in paintings that appear fragmented and abstracted. In the picture, the eyes of the woman resemble the shape of teardrops, and her green mouth and purple highlights on her nose and cheek makes her look sick. Moreover, the fingers that are clutching her chest tight and her neck that becomes narrower as it goes toward her face makes her look suffocated. Overall, the combination of different subjects that seem not related to each other are all put together in one image, and it makes the viewer feel excruciating pain that the woman feels, emphasizing her depth of pain. This universal image of suffering is painted in the flattened style of Picasso's analytical cubism, characterized by the use of angular and overlapping fragments of the subject's face, as if it were painted from different viewpoints at the same time. Perhaps Weeping Woman with Handkerchief is not only the depiction of painful and sad emotion. It may have a close relationship to the disastrous historical event, the Spanish Civil War. In early 1937, Picasso completed his monumental anti-war canvas, Guernica, the painting that depicts the scene of the devastating bombing raid on the Basque town during the Spanish Civil War. After a few months, Picasso was preoccupied with working on the Weeping Woman with Handkerchief. Considering the time he created this painting, it is possible to interpret that the woman in the painting represents the universal suffering caused by the war, expressing unspeakable grief and pain. In reality, there were countless victims of the war who experienced fear of facing death, pain of physical injury and mental damage, sorrow of losing their home and life, and pain of losing family, friends, and love. The weeping woman may be the image of one of many victims who could be someone's mother or wife who lost her child or husband from the devastating bombing raid of Guernica. Through this artwork, Picasso once again conveys the fear and horror of the war, expressing anti-war spirit. This is Cold Shoulder by Roy Lichtenstein. Born in 1923 in New York, Roy Lichtenstein is one of the most influential and innovative artists of the 20th century. He is known as a key figure of pop art, a movement he helped originate. His first fully achieved paintings were based on imagery from comic strips and advertisements and rendered in a style mimicking the crude printing processes of newspaper reproduction. His art style reinvigorated the American art scene and influenced the history of modern art. The artwork Cold Shoulder is one of his many comic style paintings that was painted in 1963 with oil and magna on canvas. Inspired by the DC Comics anthology Girls' Romances, Cold Shoulder is drawn with hard lines and simple and highly saturated colors, and the light on the woman's dress is expressed by using a simple white color. Overall, use of those kinds of lines and colors make the work show American comic style. One part that makes the painting unique is that Lichtenstein expressed the woman's skin texture with a matrix of dots by mimicking the Ben-Day dot mechanical printing process. That matrix of dots makes the woman have some goosebumps on her skin, which tells that her shoulder is literally feeling cold, as it is mentioned in the title of this work. On the other hand, the matrix dot on the other hand, the matrix of dots also reminds us on the other hand, the matrix of dots also reminds of on the other hand, the matrix of dots also reminds of screen tone, which exaggerates and expresses her status of feeling cold and cold, which exaggerates and expresses her status of feeling cold in comic style. The image of a woman in the situation of feeling cold and saying hello makes her look she's trying to talk to anyone around her to ask for help. However, she's alone in the picture, and this makes the viewer think that, despite her request for help, it seems no one is giving her a hand, but ignoring her instead. Moreover, her speech bubble is not in the shape of a clean oval. Instead, the line of her speech bubble is shaky and unstable, which makes the viewers think that the woman is speaking in a weak and fading tone. This exaggerates the dramatic situation of the woman feeling cold even more and being desperate for help. Overall, it is possible to interpret that the artwork Cold Shoulder depicts the image of a woman feeling cold alone and asking for help, and this reminds that people who are in need but being ignored in our society. The painter did not make a lot of comments on Cold Shoulder, so there is not enough information about Lichtenstein's personal thoughts about this painting. However, if we try to connect the interpretation of the art and social issues related to women in our society, Cold Shoulder could be recognized as an art that represents the reality of women in need in our society. By gender issues, especially during the mid-20th century, which was the time women's rights movement began, women were socially disadvantaged. Compared to men, they did not have many opportunities to find or secure their place in society. This art was made in 1963, so there is a possibility that Lichtenstein was influenced either consciously or unconsciously and depicted women in the 1960s who are in need but being ignored by the society before the women's rights movement began.